Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to A.O.S. Abroad. Thank you very, very much for joining this wonderful episode. Thank you for joining this wonderful live session. And today we have another interesting topic, quite sad topic actually, because but still, in every adversity, we should always see opportunity, right? So, that being said, today I'm going to talk about a topic that has been going on the news for some time right now. And this topic, there have been, or there is been a lot of deliberation on this topic. And this is a topic I feel every one of you should know about, every one of you should learn about, every one of you should understand. Do you understand? Why you need to actually what? Why you need to take this very, very seriously, right? Because one way or the other, it is affecting you. It is going to affect other people that want to come into Canada. It will affect people that didn't have the opportunity, do you understand, to come into Canada at first, but now, um how would I call it now, if you are someone that wants to come into Canada as a visitor or as a tourist, and you want to actually get citizenship for your child or your children by virtue of birth. You understand? The end of birth tourism and birthright citizenship in Canada may be very near. It may be very like this today's discussion. We want to discuss the sad news, but again, we are still not yet sure if it is going to be enacted to law, if it is going to be a law. It's just been a proposition, it's been a policy that is being deliberated on. So today we want to discuss basically what I read in the news about birth tourism, or let me say birthright citizenship, so to speak, for foreign nationals, those that are coming to Canada for the purposes of seeking citizenship by birth. You understand? For their children. Now you have to understand something that Canada, things are changing in Canada. They are changing in Canada faster than you can think about. You understand? So one of the best advice our immigration consultant once gave us is, if you want to migrate to Canada, if you want to travel to Canada, you want to school in Canada, you want to work in Canada, you want to visit Canada, you want to live in Canada, you want to seek asylum in Canada, anything you want to do at all, get started doing it right now. Do you understand? Get started working on it right now. Because that next year you are saying may be too late. Thank you very much. I see Salt liking our live session on TikTok. That next year you are thinking of maybe too late. That next month, not even next year, next month you are thinking of maybe too late. I had a clarity call with one client one time, one lead. She's not even a client, just a lead. And many people, something I kind of realized that affects immigrants is analysis paralysis. Do you understand? Analysis paralysis. Many people analyze the reason why things will not work, and at the end of the day, they get paralyzed by thinking so much about it that they don't take action. Just last month, not yesterday, last month, I was speaking with a lead that was saying, "Oh, she's interested in permanent residence, but she cannot wait so much for it, that it takes so much time. She wants to come to Canada. She's pregnant right now. She wants to make her child get citizenship." You understand? Different stories. And I said, okay, fine. Based on what our consultants informed you about, if you want to come into Canada, you want your child to get citizenship, PR may be a way that will delay you. Do you understand? It may be a pathway that will delay you. Coming to Canada as a visitor first, you understand? Get the desire you want to make your child become a citizen. Let that be sorted first. You understand? And later on, work on your PR. But start getting documents for your PR. Start getting ready for your PR, so that when you even land in Canada as a visitor, you become PR ready. Do you understand? And be able to apply for, sometimes you give people some of those suggestions, just like our immigration consultant did, but that does not mean they will take action. That does not mean they would, like, we're still saying this barely last month, and one of our clients that applied for our own visa last 2 months, you understand, she got her visa last month, and thankfully now this particular policy may not apply to her now. Do you understand? May not. I'm putting that me. It may not, because it has not yet been enacted as law. It is not something that is seen now as, you understand, prevail. So what am I trying to say in essence is that there are two persons now. One person that is over procrastinating, that okay, I'll get back to you. Let me discuss with my husband. No, nobody says you should not discuss with your husband. Discuss with your husband. But if you're not proactive, if you are not fast with your decision making process, if you are analyzing to an extent that it paralyzes you from taking action, Canada immigration is not for you. Canada immigration is not for you. Don't waste your time. It's just the truth. Don't waste your time, because those that are taking action swiftly, those that are not allowing their analysis to paralyze their decision making process, are the ones that are benefiting from Canada. But those that are waiting so much, waiting to the end of time, they would at the end of the day not really get much out of Canada immigration, right? So today we want to discuss the topic that has been trending for some time: the end of birth tourism and birthright citizenship in Canada may be near. It may be near. It may be near. We may be seeing that Canada is going to be closing its borders by virtue of the motion that has been brought forth. May. I'm not a someone should not come and tell me that when are they closing it? I'm not, you understand, disclaimers here now. I'm neither a licensed immigration consultant, I'm not an immigration lawyer, I'm not also a policy maker in Canada. So I can never know when these things will be enacted. But may, based on what they have been saying in the news, it may be stopped. It may end soon. Do you understand? So you need to know, you need to be informed, you need to know what you need to know, so that you are not caught in that way. Because some people, I don't know, you use social media, you go online, but they will never go online to learn what is trending about what they are currently doing. They will let immigration consultants or travel agents or scrupulous people to be informing them about what they themselves. You have internet, you have phone, you have mobile data, you can browse and find out things yourself, but you will be depending on what a travel agent is telling you, because you feel that's the one that know everything. Have you read up? So what we are trying to say now is we are trying to educate you on the fact that Canadian immigration, IRCC, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, may be directed to end birth tourism. Or they may not end birth tourism, but at the end of the day, if you even come to Canada to give birth, you understand, your child may not be given that birthright citizenship. Yes, you may give birth to Canada. You may. The reason why, for instance, in my own um, LinkedIn newsletter article that I wrote concerning this, the reason why I added birth tourism, because you have to understand the thinking of immigrants think a certain way, right? And they think in terms of benefits, in terms of advantages. What would they stand to gain when they do something? So if they are coming to Canada to give birth in Canada, if immigrants are coming to Canada to, you understand, spend tens of thousands of dollars to the hospital, you understand, to give birth in Canada, when they can easily do it maybe in Nigeria, and you understand, spend less than even 1,000 in some instances, they would want to be looking at what is the benefits that I stand to gain by actually what, giving birth in Canada. So if the birthright citizenship is taken away, many people may not see the need, do you understand, to actually what, to actually come for tourism by virtue of birth, or to have the agenda to do birth tourism. So in other words, just like there may be a hand to birthright citizenship for temporary residents, also there may also be a what, a hand of birth tourism, because it may not be so lucrative again that much for some people or for some businesses. But that being said, let's go into the crux of the matter. Let's analyze. Let's look into it. What does the end of birth tourism and birthright citizenship in Canada, what does it really mean when we talk about this? Now, let's move on. In recent months, just few months, or even I can even say weeks, the debate over birth tourism and Canada's policy of birthright citizenship, also known by the Latin soli, you understand, has flared anew, rekindled hold tensions between openness and control, rights and costs, ideals and fears. You have to understand something. When you're coming to another country, you have to understand that the country will do things that would favor itself, and it's quite normal. They will do something that favors themselves first. They will do something that favors their citizens first. And at the end of the day, you get to benefit from the others. I think in a sane country, that is what is meant to be prevalent. You benefit those that you are governing first, those that are, of course, the taxpayers, those that are benefiting, that are meant to be benefiting from the public services, right? So I see nothing wrong with that. But what we are trying to say is those immigrants who may be thinking of birth tourism and have not taken action now, I want you to understand what may come up, what may happen, what you may need to contend with when you finally take that plunge, even if it may be too late. What once seemed a settled principle is now under renewed political pressure, and Canadians, newcomers, and observers alike should pay close attention. We want you to pay close attention to this because, as we said, it may definitely affect you and the way you get to benefit from this, right? Now, a recent opinion piece in the Globe and Mail crystallizes one side of this, you understand, clash, one side of this issue. And I want you to pay close attention to what we are discussing today so that you really understand what it means, right? Let's look at what they need us to understand. They said conservatives, those that are, you understand, the political party, one of the political parties in Canada, conservatives are calling for an end to unconditional birthright citizenship, arguing that the current regime is being abused, especially via birth tourism. Understand this. And what is at stake here? What do you need to understand? In this newsletter, I'll walk you through one, Canada's birthright citizenship regime, two, the tourism concern and its roots, three, what the new policies or the new proposals might entail, four, the risks, the trade-offs, and counter arguments, and five, what this means for families, immigration, and policy. Now, number one, let's start with the number one. Number one, Canada's birthright citizenship, how it works today. How does it work right now? How does it work as we are currently, you understand, in right now? We said under Canada's current Citizenship Act, any child born on Canadian soil is automatically a Canadian citizen, regardless of the immigration status or citizenship of the parents, so long as the child isn't born to foreign diplomat or equivalent. This principle is the classic jus soli rule. Now you have to understand something. What it means is that if you are a tourist and you come into Canada and you give birth in Canada, that your child will become a Canadian citizen immediately, automatically. Number one. Number two, if you are a temporary foreign worker and you give birth in Canada, that your child will become a Canadian citizen automatically. Number three, if you are a student, an international student, and you give birth in Canada right now, that your child will become a Canadian citizen by virtue of birth, right? Four, if you're even an asylum seeker, most likely that your child as well will become a Canadian citizen by birth. If you are a permanent resident, that your child will become Canadian citizen by birth. And of course, a Canadian that gives birth will have the child become Canadian citizen right now, this particular time. Now, this has long been a distinctive feature of Canadian identity and the migration policy, part of a self-image of Canada as inclusive and welcoming. Inclusive and what? Welcoming. Yet, it has not been entirely free from critique. You understand? It has not been entirely free from criticism. Over past years, there have been proposals to limit or amend the jus soli as faced periodically, especially when allegations of maternity tourism, or what we know as birth tourism, have gained attention. Look at this. One issue that complicates the picture is the changes to Canadian citizenship laws in recent years, which have been focused on citizenship by descent, that is, children born abroad, and how many generations can automatically acquire citizenship. Initially, it was the first generation. Now they're even talking about the second generation benefiting from citizenship. For example, the Bill C-71, now in legislative attention, seeks to expand how Canadian citizens born abroad can pass citizenship onto further generations, though that's a separate but related front in the citizenship debate. Now, there are some people, as I said, that first generation Canadians can sort citizenship and be granted. There is even another push that okay, second generation citizen may also be given citizenship. You understand, by virtue of their grandparents being citizens of Canada and the likes. Number two, the birth tourism, which is the catalyst of this issue, or what we know as the scapegoat. What is birth tourism? Because we have been talking about birth tourism. What is birth tourism? In short, what birth tourism refers to is that it is the practice of pregnant foreign nationals traveling temporarily, often under tourist visas, to a country with birthright citizenship, with the aim of giving birth there so that their children gains citizenship. Note that critics argue that this is a loophole being exploited for advantage, for access to better services, access to legal status, access to what? To pathway to future immigration. The proponent of this reform point to the cost burdens, the strain on hospital systems, and the perceived incentives for what? For visa misuse. Now understand this. Some of these policies don't just come anyhow. They come because they have studied the trends, they have seen the data, and they have seen how it is affecting the citizens, how it is affecting permanent residents like us, how it is affecting, you understand, protected persons in Canada. Now, some of the data that they cited in recent commentary is that number one, non-resident births in Canada have grown. That means births by visitors, by temporary foreign workers, by international students. They have grown, with some estimates putting the share at 1.5% of total births in recent years. Number one. Number two, in certain hospitals, a small fraction of births may come from non-residents. But now, look at it. They are concentrated in a limited number of facilities, which are known as the hotspots. Which, of course, if it is the hotspot, it will affect other Canadians and other people trying to give birth in that particular location. In fact, I saw online on TikTok where one person, though this one is not related to birth, but one person was being taken care of in a Canadian hospital, you understand, at the corridor, or is it at the walkway or something, which, in other words, the hospital was jam-packed. They didn't have space to take new patients. So that may be, or that if that occurs to pregnancy or pregnant women again, you understand, especially Canadians, that may be one issue that they would want to add to this to show the effect of what birth tourism in Canada. Number three, they said some hospitals reportedly identify non-resident billing and discharge data as evidence of births beyond ordinary immigration categories. And number four, a Calgary hospital study found that among 102 non-resident births in one period, 77% of mothers reported that citizenship was a motivator. That shows that a lot of people are literally coming to Canada not because they want to come and tour the country, but because they want to what? They want to give birth and give their child citizenship. Now, still, the scale of through birth tourism, that is, where the sole or principal purpose of travel was childbirth, is still being debated, right? Some academics caution that framing the issue too broadly risks criminalizing legitimate international mobility, which of course may affect students, migrant workers, and visitors alike. From a political perspective, what makes this issue potent is that it touches identity, fairness, resource allocation, and migration integrity all at once. Why? Because you have to understand that if a tourist is coming to Canada for the sole purpose of giving birth, they may actually impede or affect other Canadians or permanent residents to get such services, you understand, or to get resources allocated to them for their own birth, for their own what deliveries. So it may affect fairness that okay, people that are paying for deliveries, because of course it's not free for temporary residents, you pay for deliveries, but people that are paying for deliveries may get access to those allocations, those resources that are meant to have even been free and readily available for what Canadians and permanent residents, right? Number three, what the new proposals might look like. What might it look like for the average immigrant wanting to still come to Canada to give birth? In the current moment, proposals from the conservative side include number one, that we have to limit automatic citizenship only to children born in Canada whose at least one parent is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. Under such a scheme, purely tourist status births would no longer guarantee citizenship. So that means you come to Canada and you are a tourist, you will not get citizenship for your child. You come to Canada and you're an international student, you will not get tourism for citizenship for your child. You are in Canada as a temporary foreign worker and you give birth, you will not get citizenship for your child, right? Now, number two, they said refusing the privilege of citizenship to children born to parents temporarily in Canada. So whether they are visitors, as I said, tourists, or any unauthorized status, if they are even illegals, they cannot, of course, get their children to become citizens because they are illegal what? Parents in the country, illegal aliens in the country. Number three, the other proposal is that targeted visa and immigration rules should deter maternity hotels. In other words, facilities that cater to pregnant tourists alone or births without intent to establish residence. So if they don't have intent to establish residence, that yes, they will become permanent residents of the country or they themselves will become citizens of the country, they will not get such birthright citizenship for their child, right? Now, they said if implemented, if this has, because as I said, the idea or the discussion today is that the birth tourism and the birthright citizenship may be coming to an end. We're not yet sure. So, but if it is implemented into law, such changes would significantly narrow just soli in Canada, which is birth tourism, transforming it from an unconditional right to one contingent on parental status of resident or residence. And this is similar in concept to how countries like Australia since 2007 restrict birth tourism or birthright to children whose parents have citizenship or permanent residency. Did you get that? Now, in fact, some concerns argue that Canada should adopt a modified just soli system. In other words, citizenship by birth, but only when certain connection or status criteria are met. So sometimes they may say you must have set up residency, tax residency. Sometimes that you may have set up tax residency, tax connection to Canada. So you are giving back to the system, you are paying taxes before you can actually get access to some of these benefits, some of these resources of giving birth. Now, number 4, what are the risks related to this and the trade-offs and the counter arguments? Number 1 is legal, constitutional, and rights challenges. They said changing birthright citizenship is legally complex. It may face constitutional challenges depending on charter rights, equality claims, and so on. And it could create different classes of people born in Canada. Many critics warn that removing or limiting just soli is a blunt instrument. It could harm children born in Canada to legitimate immigrant families, including refugees or temporary workers. Now, look at that. It could, and of course, it will definitely harm some of them because they are not PR yet, they are not permanent residents yet, and they are not citizens yet, right? Now, B, they said unintended impact on children and families. They said children born in Canada but denied citizenship could face existential insecurity, like rights to healthcare, schooling, movement, legal protection, and civic participation may all become uncertain, right? And this is arguably contrary to the principle of protecting children regardless of their of their parents' status. So a lot of factors have to be looked into because there may be a lot of insecurity for those kind of children that are giving birth to. And of course, since they're giving Australia as an example, we may need to look at Australia and see how are Australia faring? How are they taking care of all these issues since they already have the policy in place in their own country? Now, some children might end up in stateless limbo or forced to leave the country because some argue that those outcomes would be morally and politically untenable. What does it mean by this? Because people don't really understand some of these jargons when it comes to law. Now, what it means basically is that stateless limbo, if for instance you are coming from a country like India and you are seeking asylum, definitely that particular parent is no longer an Indian because many times they are saying that they are threatening their own country. So they may not already, they may have renounced their own citizenship in India with the hopes of getting citizenship in Canada, right? So as a result of that, when they give birth to a child in Canada and Canada removes the right of citizenship by birth, it may be that that kind of child is not able to get citizenship in Canada and is not also able to get citizenship in India. Assuming, I'm not sure, I don't really know the concept of India, but assuming, even in China too, it may be that they will become stateless. They will not be able to have any country that they are citizenship that they are a citizen of. Do you understand? So that may affect. That's another issue that they are talking about. The number 3 issue is the impact on migration and mobility. They said such a rule would not necessarily stop migration, of course, because people will still be migrating for other purposes, not the tourism mostly. But it could drive more irregular or underground strategies or encourage births just outside the border. Because people may say, oh, in Canada, I'm not getting citizenship again. Let me go to Mexico and go and get citizenship. Let me go to, oh, you understand, U.S. if they are still going to even, because that U.S. anything can happen anytime. If they'll be giving, you understand? So people may just want to say, okay, let me go and illegally go outside to give birth, you understand, and come back later on once I have the citizenship of another country, right? So restricting just solely might also deter international talent or families from choosing Canada as a destination for education, for work, for settlement, if birth rights are core to the appeal. Now look at that, because many people, not only visitors are coming to Canada to give birth, you understand, international students too, even though we don't yet know the data on that, may be coming to Canada to give birth. Foreign temporary workers as well may be coming to Canada to give birth. Asylum seekers as well may be coming to Canada to give birth. Do you understand? So if they limit it on thinking that it's only birth tourism, it may affect across board that people may not see Canada as a destination to come for education, for work, and for settlement, right? Now, another thing is administrative enforcement and fairness challenges. Do you understand? Government and immigration systems would have to adjudicate parental status, residency duration, and exceptions. And if not designed carefully, such systems could become opaque, unfair, and discriminatory, e.g., affecting some nationalities disproportionately. You understand? It may be that it may favor Americans and not favor, you understand, Nigerians. Maybe it may favor Chinese and not favor Indians. Do you understand? So some pregnancies and births are unpredictable. You can't predict them. Some people may, you understand, come to Canada today. They were not pregnant when they landed, right? They were not pregnant when they landed. But when they landed, they had sex. You understand? And one way or the other, pregnancy sets in. And we have had some situations that there's some preterm births. You understand? The children, they may be thinking that they will leave Canada before they give birth. Do you understand? After or before the 9 months, because of course tourism is just 6 months. But there may be pre-birth that they will give birth to, maybe due to complications and things like that. They may give birth faster than because of course sometimes when the EDD, the expected date of delivery, is not always the same for everybody. It can change. It can be before, it can be after. So if they give birth before, it may not be their own desire to also give birth in the country. But once they give birth in the country and they are not able to go back to their country immediately, how would the citizenship of the country, of the child, be hanging? So that's one of the issues. Because what of emergency arrivals? What of emergency pregnancies, emergency deliveries? That's one of the issues people are actually talking about. So moreover, critics note that the government's existing data is weak, making it hard to calibrate reforms proportionally. Because the data is not extensive enough. It's not telling us that, okay, are these the amount of people that are coming to give birth based on birth tourism? Are these the students that are giving birth? Are these the workers? Why are they giving birth? You understand? The statistics is not yet cumbersome. It's not yet elaborate. Number 5, another concern is that their core principle of inclusion, one of Canada's hallmark policies, has been openness. You understand? That is citizenship by birth, which is a symbol of that openness. Curtailing it sends a signal internationally that citizenship is less of a birthright and more of what? A privilege. It's a privilege. That's what it will basically be saying. And that shift could reverberate beyond just policy into identity, public sentiment, and trust. Because people may feel that, oh, Canada is changing a lot of things and anything can happen anytime. So let me go to a country that is much more willing, a country that is much more predictable, a country that at the end of the day will not just come with a policy that will change the course of, you understand, things all of a sudden, right? Now, number 5, let's now talk about what does this mean? What does this birth tourism or birthright citizenship ending, what does it mean for families, immigrants, and policy watchers? Now, for families who are considering childbirth in Canada, those are the first. The moment feels especially precarious for people like that because those depending on the guarantee of citizenship by birth may find that guarantee eroding in the coming years. If they don't put it to law this year, maybe it's going to come to law next year. We're not sure. You understand? So for immigrants and temporary residents especially, this debate is part of a broader shift in how Canada evaluates your belonging and your membership in the country. You understand? Because the definition of who belongs may become much more narrower. Who belongs? Who are really the immigrants in Canada? They become more narrower. Who are truly the people that will get benefits, that will get resources allocated to them, may become quite narrower. You understand? It may be for people like us, permanent residents and only citizens, that will be getting some, you understand, some benefit for birthright, you understand, citizenship. Now, for policymakers as well, any reform must balance what we know as integrity and dignity. You understand? It must also balance within prevention and protection. Are they able to prevent people from getting the citizenship? Are they able to protect those people that don't have citizenship? It has to also balance between deterrence with human rights. What are people's human rights? And how are you trying to curb misuse of the policies? So the challenge is to target abuse without sweeping up legitimate cases. You understand? And for Canadian identity, How citizens decide to define Canadianness in the coming decade, whether more exclusive or more inclusive, will resonate throughout immigration, throughout the justice system, and the social cohesion. You know, Justin, what they call it, Sean Fraser, who is the Minister of Justice right now, will have a lot of things to think of. Will have a lot of things to think of. Because one of the questions we need to reflect on is the current rise in non-resident birth sufficient to justify a structural change in birthright citizenship? That's number one. Number two question is that can targeted measures, e.g., visa rules, hospital billing reforms, deterrent, address abuse without overhauling birth tourism or just soli? How would Canada protect children born here whose parents later lose their status or face removal orders? Number four, what would the long-term consequences be of Canada's brand as open, immigrant-friendly, and inclusive? Which countries have reformed or abolished Josoli, and what lessons do they offer, like Australia that was mentioned in this? Now, conclusion. While the headline, the end of birth tourism and birthright citizenship is near, may be speculative, it is not far from the realm of possibility. The debate is already shifting from fringe policy to mainstream. So whether Canada takes that step now and how it does take the step could mark a turning point in how citizenship and what is conceived, who is deemed belonging to Canada, and how the nation balances openness with control. So if this topic interests you, I plan to publish periodic updates and comparative analysis on US versus Canada, Canada versus Australia's experience, Canada versus European model of citizenship. So let me know if you would like to also receive that, if you'd like to learn about that, and if you would want to understand how that fits. So if you found this useful, please feel free to like this live session, comment on it, share with all your other friends and colleagues and family members that may benefit from this. The topic is complex and it still needs more thought leadership. So we are still going to be coming on to talk about it in other subsequent live sessions. So what else do you need to know? You can purchase a copy of my book, which is oh, thank you very much, JIT Support. I see you sent heart me. Really appreciate you became the number 2 fan in the fan club. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Salt as well for liking. Now, for those who want to learn more about Canadian immigration and how to actually thrive and succeed in your own country, and after when you finally land in a new country, you can always purchase a copy of my book, which is Funding Your Move Abroad. And this is a book that helps you plan well for your immigration, helps you make money anywhere you are or even online, and helps you also migrate to Canada successfully. So it's available right now in hardcover and in audiobook. And if you are unable to buy it on Amazon, you can go on Amazon to buy it. If you are unable to buy it on Amazon, you can also buy it on seller.com. Just go on the link on our bio and you'll see many of those links. You can buy it in various multiple African currencies. Number two, you could also join our free weekly relocation live sessions, just like this that we are having right now, which we always have every week. At least every week we come on live once. Sometimes we come on twice, 3 times, but at least every week we come on once. And here I get to actually talk with you on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and platforms like that. So, and also our immigration memoir, the one I wrote to coupled with my partner, is finally out right now for those who have been learning about that book, which is We Were Homeless in Canada. For the stories of our 30 days on the Ontario streets, the life lessons we learned, and the childbirth that changed everything. The childbirth that gave our own child citizenship by birth, you understand, that gave us privileges that we never had access to before, and how you too can actually achieve that. Now, lastly, also you can also shop the A.O.S online course collection featuring some of our favorite language learning, exam preparation, international career and business development trainings for those who want to actually succeed at home and abroad. And you can also join our free Telegram group, A.O.S Relocation 360, if you have not already, to learn more about it. Now, what is your next step? What do you, from this information we have shared, what is your next step? If you have any questions, let's chat in the comment section. Drop it on the comment section or send us a DM. Let us hear from you. Send us a DM to actually ask more of your questions and share your thoughts, your questions as well. You understand, in those messages or in the comment section. Are you interested in more insights about Canadian immigration? If yes, subscribe to our newsletter, subscribe to our social media platforms as well. You understand, and always visit subsequently for more tips, more guidelines, more guides and updates on your path to Canadian permanent residence, to your international success. A.O.S. Thank you very much, everyone, once again for joining. If we have any questions, let us have it right now before we call it today. If you don't have any questions, don't forget, as I said, at least once a week we come online, so you can always join subsequently to learn from us about the concept of immigration and benefits not only yourself but your family members. If you want to work with us in regards to your immigration, your exam preparation, your language studies, your career abroad, your business launch abroad, then don't forget to actually go on our bio, click on the link on our bio, reach out to us, and definitely we, together with our immigration partners and top consulting firm, will definitely assist you to actually achieve your travel goals. Thank you very much once again, and I do hope to see you in our next live session. I remain your boy, Aziz Olashiri from A.O.S Abroad. Thank you very much for joining, and don't forget to like, comment, and share this content out there. Bye for now, everyone. Au revoir.